Hello everyone, welcome to my channel RN ArchiVision. Today is the first class of Revit software. I have personally created this channel in order to help out students who are just the beginners or has no idea of how these particular softwares or tools work out. So the ones who wants to learn these softwares from the beginning level to the professional level, so please stay tuned and I'll be teaching you each and everything in detail so that you get a complete idea of how to use these particular software. So today is the first class of the Revit and we are going to get started with it right now. So when you just open your Revit software, this is like the page that pops up near you. Towards your left, you actually have two options called as models and families. So what are models? Models are basically the plans or the floor plans or the projects that you have personally worked over. So open is basically like you can open your previous project that you have worked over, or you also have an option of opening it up from here. So I have worked over a couple of projects over here, and either you can open it directly from here, or you can actually use this particular way of opening your projects. Next option that we have over here is new. New is basically creating your own new project, coming up with a new file for yourself, and we are going to use that shortly. Next option that we have is the families. Families is basically, creating up some elements that is going to be useful for your models. Like for example, you have your dresser, you have your tables, chairs, stools, and all of these things that you can create or design it yourself, and you can use that into your models. And I will be definitely teaching you how to create your own families, own tools yourself, and use that into your model. So that's going to get really interesting, and I'm sure that is going to be of your interest too. So that is about the family section. So let us now get started with the new models. So I'm going to click on this new to get started with my new file. So the first thing that comes is your template file that you need to use. So template is like, you have like different type of templates, like for example, architecture templates, structural templates, mechanical, and all of these. So any more templates. So you can actually browse it from here. So once you click on this browse button, this is something that comes near you. That is this, and as you can see, you actually have different templates for plumbing, mechanical, electrical, construction, commercial. All these are different templates that you can actually use for your projects. So these are like, you can use that if you're working over the MEP sections, and yeah, I will be teaching you that as well in my further classes, so stay tuned for that. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an architecture template, going to select project, and going to click OK. So for today's class one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each and every tools that we have in all of these tabs, all these property table, project browser, the things which we have at the bottom, the things which we have at the top. I'll be going into each and every detail, explaining you about these tools so that you can get a basic idea of what we have in the Revit software, so that it gets easy for you when you just start working over with your projects or plans. So firstly, when you just take a look over these tabs over here, first tab that we have is the architecture tab. Under this we have wall section, we have door section, windows, other components, roof, ceiling, floor, and all the curtain grids and everything over here. So the most important thing is that, once you just keep your cursor on any of these tools, anywhere on these tools, it gives you a little description of what that tool is about, and in few cases it also gives you a description of how to use that particular tool. So I'll show that to you shortly. So we have like different walls and doors, windows that we could create using this. We can create a new plan using all of these. So then we have is the circulation, which includes the railing, ramp, and stairs. This is something which is very important, and it gets really interesting once you start working with it. It looks a little difficult towards the beginning to get that perfect looking stair, but yeah, I'll make that easy for you. Then we have is the model text section. We also have the room separators. We also have like the areas. That is something which is very necessary necessary to just give that details towards your project once it is completed. And then we also have the grid section, which is mainly used in order to get that perfect dimension, or I would say like to get that perfect looking plan. So we are going to get started with that in our next class. Moving on with the next section, which is the structural portion. Structure basically includes everything like beams, columns, truss, brace, and all of these things. We also have the rebar area, the area, how to find the area of anything. All of these things are included under the structural portion. So that is something a little different than different from architecture. But yeah, I would be going under this as well, and I hope you all enjoy that. Next, we are moving on with the steel. It again includes something like bowls, plates, and all of these things, which is again a part of the structure. Precast, it's the same thing, which includes reinforcement and all of these things, again a part of structure. Moving on with the systems. Under systems, we have like flex duct, we have A terminals, we have mechanical equipments, we have pipelines that we can use, we have plumbing fixtures, wiring, electrical equipment, we have different devices, all of these lighting fixtures and different components that we can use. So this is the section that is very useful if you're working over the MEP part of the house. So yeah, we would be going over this too once we get completed with one of our projects. Next we have is here is the insert portion. This is something very important if you need to import a file or export a Revit file. So importing a PDF, importing an image, importing a CAD file, I would say. Okay, this is something that is done from this particular section, or you can actually get a link of the Revit as well. So that is something very useful. Next we have is the annotate. This section over here is used to just give more details towards your project. So yeah, these ones are used to just give dimensions of your project. It's kind of like giving more details to it. So you can actually use these dimensions to give a better view of what you want in a project. So over here we also have text, we have the tags as well. Next we have is the analyze. Analyze is also something which is very interesting, and this is something which we commonly use for the MEP sections, because this schedule portion is something very important when you're working with MEP, because for example, if you have like plumbing fixtures, so you have different sizes of the pipelines and different pipelines being used in your project. You need to make a schedule of what sizes of the pipelines are being used, what is the cost of each, what is the size of each, and the number of the items that we are using. So that is gonna get really simple, and I really love this because it gives you a complete idea of how many pipelines are being used, what are the different sizes, and the cost of it. So that is something very easy, and I would teach you that as well. Next over here is the path of travel. So when I just keep my cursor, it actually gives me an idea of how this path of travel works. And this is something very important when you're working over a project, especially like for me in my university projects, I had to use this just to show the air circulation inside my plan. So that is also very important. You need to take care of that as well. Next is moving on with massing and site. This is important to make any like site components, parking components or something like creating hills or something of that sort. So you can actually use this mass and siting. Next over here we have is the collaborate. This is again very important for the MEP section. This is the common tool that we use for the MEP section in order to copy our plan to the MEP part of it. So yeah, you will be a little confused if I say something right now, but I'll show that to you in my future classes. Next is moving on with the view. This is like one of my favorite portions of the Revit software, because I have like the rendering portion, which basically gives you a beautiful render of your plan or the 3D view of your house, and it looks absolutely stunning. And then we have over here is the 3D view, which basically gives you a complete 3D view of a 2D plan. And under this we also have a camera, we also have a walkthrough. So camera just to give you a beautiful exterior pictures, and walkthrough which gives you a beautiful walkthrough exterior as well as interior. So you're going to just enjoy that. Next what we have over here is the section view. that is one of my favorite, I would say, because it gives you a beautiful interior as well as exterior view all together. And when you just have like components placed inside your house, it's gonna give you even better view, I would say. So section is like my favorite. Then what we have over here is the elevations, obviously north, south, east, and west elevations. So yeah, that is also going to be very helpful for us. And the most important tool over here we have is the user interface tool. So what is this? Let me explain that to you. So for example, as you can see, we have the project browser tab over here and the property table over here. So for example, if I just close by mistakenly the properties table, and you just get confused of where to find it, because these two tables are one of the most important when you're working over your projects. So you can directly go into the view section, view tab, and open the user interface, click on the properties, and it's back. So it's that simple. So this is something which is very important. Next, moving on with the manage section. In here, it is again one of the most important, because like it consists of all the different lines. These lines are basically used just to give an idea of how your plan is going to look like. It's definitely not going to give you a 3D view, but it's just going to give you an idea of how your plan is going to look like. And using those lines, you can actually trace your wall over it to get a perfect 2D view, and from that you can get a 3D view. So I'll be teaching you how to use these lines. So you have different line patterns, different line weights and styles too. So that is something, another interesting thing that we have in Revit. Again, this is something which is basic. And additional thing that I have in my Revit software is the Enscape portion. It's another rendering software, I would say. This is not usually present in every Revit softwares that you would download. You basically need to additionally download an Enscape software into your PC or into your laptop, and then that basically gets into your, and you automatically get that into your Revit software once you download it. So this is also another most interesting thing. I personally really love Enscape. It's because it gives you even better view, better looking view of your 3D models, even better than the Revit rendering, I would say. So yeah, just use this, download this into your laptops or on whichever device you're working, because this is something very useful. And especially I really love the materials of Enscape. It's because it gives you better quality components from Escape. So I would personally recommend you to download it, because we would be working over it as well in our further classes. Last we have is the modify table. This is one of the most important table, I would say, when you're working with your plans. So as you can see, these at the top are called as your tabs. So this is your modify tab, but under this modify tab you have your modify panel. So you need not get confused. So if I'm asking you to go to modify panel, so you should directly come over here. If I'm asking you to open the modify tab, so just open the modify tab. So that is the difference that you need to understand. And these tools are like one of the most important ones, I would say, and these as well. So over here what we have is the the copying tool, I would say. You have one copy tool under geometry section, and you have another copy tool under modify panel. So what is the difference between that? I would definitely be teaching you that as well. So we need to understand the difference between these two copies in order to work out well. So you also have under this geometry table, you also have this wall joins. You can join any two walls very easily. You also have demolish tool. It's like if you have an existing plan, you can demolish the walls whichever you don't want, and you can create new walls in it or new plans in it. Okay, you need not actually create, like if you have some other plans in your present plan, you can just demolish few walls and create your own plan. So that would get much easier rather than making a new house or a new plan. So that is something which is very important for you to know. Then over here, most interesting is the painting up the walls, painting up the windows, painting up your materials. It gets really interesting when you use these ones. Next, the most important is this modify panel. So over here we have different tools like align, move, copy, offset, mirror tools, rotate tools, trim tools. We also have like split elements. All these things are very, very, very important, because these are like something which is going to make your work much easier if you know how to use them properly. So in the next videos I would be teaching you, like I'll be creating a separate video of how to use these particular tools. You know, if you get used to this modify tools, I will assure you that it's gonna get really easy for you to work out with your plans. So please do learn that. And then definitely we also have measuring tool references, the dimensions, everything is present over here. So that was all about these tabs. Now moving on a little at the top and taking a view of it. So over here what we have is the save tool. Over here what we have is the undo or redo tool. We have print. Print is done for the sheets that we create. Okay, we will be creating sheets too once we make a perfect plan. Then what we have next is the dimensions, the measuring tool I would say, and this is the dimension tool. This is the tag, text, again the 3D view, and under this small arrow you can actually find like cameras and walkthrough. You also have the section view, and all of these are present over here. So like these are like the most common ones that we use in our project. So like when you need something, you need not just find it over here, you can directly use it from here. Moving on with the properties panel and the project browser. So under this properties what you have is like different things. I think I would be explaining that to you once we start using different walls, different doors or anything. It would be much better to explain you that time. It's going to give you a better explanation I would say. And the project browser is something that consists of your floor plans. So you have like the first level, second level, site level as well, and then you also have your seating plans for the 2 levels that you have created. You also have elevation views. So if you click on east, so now it's going to just open a tab that's going to give you an east view, east elevation of the plan that you have created. So as we don't have anything right now, it's just not showing you anything. So that is about the east elevations. Then east, north, southwest elevations. Then we have schedules, sheets very important, families another important thing. So these are like few things that you can find under project browser. Now coming towards the bottom line, what we have over here is the scale. Very important, because you know, in most of your projects they actually ask you to use 1/4" scale, or at times they can ask you 1/8" scale or 1/32" scale. So you need to make plans according to that. So right now what I am personally using is 1/8" scale, that is equal to 1 feet. So the scale for architecture students or civil students, it's something very important. So you need to get familiar with this as well. Next what we have over here is the coarse, medium and fine. So what is these? So basically like when you just create a wall, you also have like details for a wall. So for example, you might be having bricks, you might be having gypsum board, you might be having some other details inside the wall. So this coarse, medium and fine would give you a better view of what the wall would look like in a 2D format, not in a 3D, in just in your 2D, to give like better details when you put that into a sheet. So yeah, I will be using that and show that to you once we make a plan. Then what we have over here is like wireframe, hidden lines, shaded, consistent colors or realistic. So what are these? So basically these are like, you know, it gives, wireframe is like, you know, it gives you a complete transparent look of your 3D view. Hidden lines is just the normal, the way you create. Shaded would give you a little shade over your walls just to give a better you know, a better understanding I would say. And consistent colors, quite similar to shaded. Realistic would give you absolutely the realistic look of your walls or the floor that you create. So that is about that. Next what we have is the sun path on and off. So just to get a better view or a better understanding of the placement of the windows I would say, in order to see if we would have a good ventilation inside of a house or no, according to the sun path. Then we also have shadows. Okay, so as you can see, when I'm just clicking on shadows, it just switches on, and you can just have a shadow being formed. Once you click it, it gets off. When you get a cross line, it means it's off. Then what we have next is the crop view. Again, on, off. Then again, which we have is the show crop region. What is the region that is being cropped? You need to show that. So that is like the particular region that is cropped right now. So I'm just going to close that off. So you can actually see the bulb which is being lightened up, which means that it is on. Once you just click that back, you can just off that. So next what we have is the temporary hide or isolate. So at times when you're just working over something, you need to hide few elements in order to work over something in detail. So you can actually see, get to know what are the elements that are temporarily hidden. This is to just reveal the hidden elements. Okay, so that would basically reveal the elements which are hidden. So that is about it. And the temporary view properties, hide analytic models, and all of these things are very necessary when you're working over your projects. So that is all about the details of doing how to just understanding the basic details or the basic tools that we have in this Revit software. This is something very important. Why? So that you can actually get familiar with the tools that you have. You can get an idea of, okay, I have that tool, I can actually use that into my plan. So you should be knowing it, right? So that is about it. Next, what we have, the last thing for today's class is to know how to change the units in your Revit software. So for that, what we're going to do is, what we're going to just type is enter UN on your keyboard. Okay, so this is the project unit tabs that opens up for you. So over here, the most important thing is that when you need to change your units, you need to change units just for distance and length. So that is like the most common thing that is used, right? So you just need to use change units for distance and length, or if you want, you can also change that for the area as well. So for distance, I'm gonna click on this, change that to meters. I'm more comfortable using feet, so I have considered that. But if you want to use that in meters, you can click meters, 0 decimal places, and if you want units, you can change that to meters. Okay, all right, so that is changed to meters. Now I'm going to do the same for the length, feet and fraction inches. So I'm going to change that to millimeters or meters. Again, meters, 0 decimal, symbol should be M. All right, and click OK. So it has changed that to meters right now. Now rest all are not that important. If you want, you can change that for area. You can convert that to square meters, meter square. The symbol is meter square. Decimal points, you can either go for like 0 decimal places. I personally prefer 0 decimal places, so you can use that as well. And click OK, and it has changed completely. All right, you can just click OK, and it's going to change the unit. So for me, I want to stick back to feet, so I'm not going to make any changes, going to cancel that out. All right, so that is all about it. And these ones that you see right over here on your screen, these are your elevation views. So when you just click over this, it actually opens your south elevation. All right, so stay tuned for the next class, wherein I will be starting up using all these tools that I have shared that with you all. And I hope you like my videos. Please do like my videos, share it with your friends, so that it gets helpful for them as well to learn this particular softwares. And please do subscribe my channel. I hope you all would love my videos.